Good morning, Hurricane Jerry with you as we talk fishing in the State Line area every Saturday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Iron Country, 101.9 and 1490 a.m. You can also stream anywhere on your desktop or tablet at ironcountry.fm or even from your mobile device. Just download the free TuneIn Radio app and check out your Google Play Store, and you can download that app right there. The Fish and Hole this morning brought to you by Harbor Recreation, Southern Wisconsin's boating headquarters on Lake Koshkonong. You can check them out at harborrec.com. I tell you what, I decided to have the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater fishing team with me another week here, and you know what? You guys did such a fantastic job. You guys are gonna do part of my radio show today, as you're going to be with the one and only Larry Smith from Larry Smith Outdoors. And Larry, how are things with you right now? How's it going?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show. Hurricane, things are absolutely awesome. The weather's starting to straighten out a little bit. Today we were out; it was super windy, but the great part about fishing is always adapting. I'm kind of that hyperactive person, and I like a change all the time, and I love when things are tough. It might not sound right to a lot of people, but when things are tough, you really have to use your brain. You got to start thinking. You got to start using a lot of strategy, and today was definitely one of them days.
Yeah, Larry, the weather we've had recently, where you've been fishing, I know here in southern Wisconsin, I've been fishing the Madison Chain, Lake Koshkonong a lot. It's just been, weather's been really inconsistent. You might get your 70-degree days, and for some reason you're getting 50 degrees. The water temperature is really struggling to come up. And, how is Lake Winnebago right now? I know you've been out there and you've been guiding and fishing from time to time here the last few days. How is Winnebago shaping up right now for walleyes?
Well, I'll tell you, Hurricane, the same thing here. We had tremendous amount of rain. This year I've seen the river as high as I've ever seen it before, and the rain just doesn't let up. I don't know if you know this or not, but we do some farming too.
Yep.
And we run about 300 acres, which is a real small farming operation at today's standard, but we've only got 140 acres planted right now, and again, it's just the rain and the cold temperatures. It's just been a challenging, year so far on that end. But the fishing in general has been pretty decent. Every weekend they have a tournament out on Lake Winnebago on the system somewhere, and you're not seeing a lot of big weights. I mean, about 14 pounds has been, for a one-day tournament, has been usually the winning weight. So you're seeing a lot of numbers of fish, but not a lot of big fish. And I really feel that I think them big fish are still sitting way up into the wolf. And, it's just one of them years when the water is as high as it is this year that, I was up there yesterday, and as far as the eye can see, it's solid flooded area, so these fish have so many places to go, and really they kind of change their diet too when you have high years like this year, and they're eating a lot of frogs and other things like that versus more of a minnow type base.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, water temperature probably has a lot to do with that, too, of those fish not dropping down from the Wolf and moving down into Poygan and Butamore and moving out to the Winnebago. That does make sense.
It does, for sure. And we're catching a lot of fish, a lot of small fish. That system really is an incredible system when it comes to the reproduction. I've always said this, you guys, that if we had a size limit or a slot limit out on the Winnebago system, it would become a world-class fishery. No, I'm not talking as far as a trophy fishery. You would still catch, if it was changed, you'd catch a lot of big fish, but it would just be a tremendous resource for the state of Wisconsin if it did have a size limit on it. Because when you look at day in, day out, the amount of pressure that system gets, and you see a lot of people, and they're not breaking the law because there is no size limit. It's got a 5-fish limit on it still. But when you see a lot of guys keeping walleyes that are in that 11 to 14-inch range, them fish, if they were protected, would actually get a chance to spawn at least one or two times which would, obviously create more fish into the system.
That's that you said that a lot of reproduction. That's a lot of natural reproduction on that system, right?
It is, yeah. It's all for all the walleyes and most of the species. It's all natural reproduction. Again, I just feel that and I'm not right all the time, you guys, but I really, when I've fished all over the country, and any place that I've ever been to that's had a slot limit or a size limit on it is typically a really good system. So my beliefs are that on that system, if we could somehow get the DNR and the governor to change it and put a size limit or even put a slot limit on it, it would become a world-class fishery.
Just like the Bay of Green Bay. I think the Bay of Green Bay is right up there, too. That's just I love that place up there. So,
Yep.
All right, Larry, I have 3 gentlemen in here. Alex, Ross, and Brett, they are on the University of Wisconsin whitewater fishing team. You guys just fished a tournament
That's
down.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys just fished a tournament down in Bull Shoals, down in Arkansas, and they each have a question for you. And I'm going to introduce you to Alex Gaziano. Alex, you have a question for Larry.
Yes, Larry. I'm sure you use braid to fluorocarbon or just straight fluorocarbon. And if you do use braid to fluorocarbon, what line knot do you use?
I typically use a knot to clinch them lines together.
Okay. And
Yep.
And what about Ross?
Or a plug knot.
Okay.
What's that?
Or Ross, what question you have for Larry?
So Larry, I have one question for you, and you only can answer one species of fish. If you had to choose, what pre-spawn fish would you target?
Pre-spawn, huh?
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm going to say catfish.
What?
Yes. Yeah. Larry's a catfisherman.
Nice.
Huge catfisherman, yep. Huge catfisherman.
Wow.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Oh,
Yep, huge catfisherman. I fish walleyes and bass, with my clients day in, day out. So having the chance, and I don't get to fish cats as much as I used to. I used to do a lot with my kids. Probably I would say 3-4 nights a week. Now I'm lucky if I get to go, once every 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, I fished with my dad as a kid, lots of cats, and I love cats. I don't really like to eat them, and there's nothing wrong with eating them. But what I do like about cats, you guys, is that, you don't need a lot of expensive equipment. You can do it off of shore in so many places. And the fight of a catfish is tremendous. So when you look at it, I think it's a great way to get, especially, people that don't have the opportunity to have a boat and have places to fish. You can go pretty much anywhere and catch catfish. So, and like I said, they're a tremendous fighter. My dad, he loves to eat them. I've never been a big connoisseur of eating catfish. But I definitely like to catch them, and I love the fight. And I love how some of them just tap it and you set the hook and they pull the rod right over, and other ones, if you're not hanging onto the rod or having some type of rod holder, they'd rip it right out of the boat or out of the ground.
That's
What about bullheads?
Okay. I guess he's whispering another question. What would you want to deep fry, a goby or a smelt, head and body and everything?
I'm going to tell you something. The smelt are definitely a better eating, fish when you deep fry them whole like that. But the experiences that you get out of a goby, deep fried goby, that's kind of on the rare side, is like you have to just try it once and experience it. All I can tell you is that do not go that far from a facility and carry plenty of PPE. Right? That's what I would tell you about that. Right.
Okay, we got one more angler here. Brett, you got a question for Larry.
Hey, Brett.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with the bass fishing tours they have going on right now, but Major League Fishing is coming to the Winnebago system here at the end of June.
I heard that. Yep.
How do you think those guys are going to do out there? Think they're going to smash them?
Well, they're going to smash them for sure because, the Winnebago system over the last 10 years has become a tremendous bass system. There is a lot of largemouth, a lot of smallmouth. I guess a lot of it's going to depend on the water levels as far as where the guys are going to be fishing. But, you know, in the fall, I can just tell you this, when the smallies in October move out of the tributaries like the Embarrass River and the Little Wolf and other tributaries, I mean, on an average day, we average between, I would say, the high 20s and low 40 smallmouth. So, I mean, there is a lot of smallmouth in that system, and I can tell you this, you know, I'm 54 years old, and as a kid growing up, if you were to catch a smallmouth on Winnebago, it was like a real treat. Not that it's not still a treat, but I mean, you can go out and target smallmouth, you know, all you want on that system.
He's not joking, because years ago I hired Larry as a guide back in, I think it was 2005. It was my birthday, and he was out filming, I think for one of the TV stations up there. You guys don't mind if I film up here? I'm like, no. So a guy came out and we did a film. We're filming out there, and we're trying to catch.
Yeah, for Channel 2.
Yeah, we're trying to catch a walleye, and we're catching smallmouths on reefs. Some of the reefs. Right. I couldn't believe the smallmouth back then. So Larry's right about that.
Yeah, I don't think you're not going to see the weights, you know, like you're going to see on Mille Lacs or obviously at Sturgeon Bay, but you'll see some really good weights and a lot of decent bags. And I think most of the guys that come here are going to really appreciate the system, because it is such a diverse system with all the rivers that run in and out of it. You know, and I'm not just talking the Wolf and the Fox River. You know, a lot of things that aren't talked about on this system is that I fish a lot of the willow, and I fish the pumpkin seed, and there's a couple other small rivers, the pine, that run into the system too, that are really good fisheries. You know, you just got to get up into them and be able to fish them. And, you know, you guys with them bass boats, the jack plates and the low profile, you guys can get up into them tight, shallow, you know, bodies of water or rivers like that to fish them. I run my flat bottom with a jack plate on it, but you know, there's a lot of places, I think, that when these pros come to fish the system, they're going to be fishing a lot of things that the normal guy doesn't fish, because, you know, these, like any kind of professional circuit comes into an area, they come in and they break down the system. You know, they analyze everything before they get here, and they break it down, and there probably won't be much water that they don't cover on that system.
Before we let you go, Larry, I've got one more question. Larry's a music guy, and if you had to pick one artist in your truck, if you're making a road trip, what would you pick, Johnny Cash or Chris Stapleton?
Well, it's a no-brainer for sure, because I'll tell you something, Jerry. I mean, this is Chris Stapleton. I've been listening to Chris for probably the last 6-7 years, and obviously in the last 3 or 4 years, he's really gone big, which I'm surprised it took that long. He's one of the very few artists that I can listen to on a 10, 12-hour run to somewhere over and over and over and don't need to switch.
I've heard about that.
Absolutely, he is incredible. His vocals are unbelievable. And, you know, I love that graspy voice, and, it's one of them kind of things that, you know, when you're like me and you're running 100 miles an hour, you know, 24 hours out of the day, you got to have that to keep you down the road. You know, there's a lot of times that I still go, you know, 2-3 days with only sleeping a couple hours in total in 2 or 3 days.
And Chris Stapleton gets you through it.
He does. That's awesome. Yep.
Well, I appreciate you, Larry, joining us this morning here on the Fishing Hole, and I'm sure these guys do too. And always fun to have you on the radio with us, and hopefully we'll be running in you sometime soon. Maybe at Claremont's Garage for a fish fry sometime down the road. Fish fry.
No, I appreciate you guys, asking me some questions, and I really appreciate you guys' love and passion for the outdoors. And, you know, like I always say, just remember one thing, the most important thing in life. Remember, it's always a great day to be alive.
Absolutely, Larry. And thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. Yeah,
all right, take care, Larry. That is Larry Smith from Larry Smith Outdoors. Of course, you can catch his show on FSN North, FSN Wisconsin every Sunday morning at 7:30. You guys watch Larry. I know, I'm sure. Yeah. Did you guys have a good time 2 weeks in a row in the Fishing Hole?
Yeah, this is great. Of course,
okay.
It's awesome.
Fishing or radio, which one would you pick?
Radio's awesome.
Radio's great. I think I might stick with the fishing though.
Yeah.
I'm better at fishing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm probably better